be hard to keep up with your energy, but I'll do my best.
Please.
You're like a 10 right now.
No, it's just because someone gave me caffeine. I ordered decaf. And they were like, here's decaf. And they were like pouring caffeine in it. Hey guys, this is Ryan Payne. Ryan lives in a world that is completely foreign to me, but I love that because I don't swim in finances. I don't know much about finances. I leave the stuff I'm not good at up to other people. And yet, being here
and yet
in
you
New
still
York,
have me doing
and yet
this.
I still have Lance. I know, that's crazy.
Want to be a financial planner, Lance?
Oh my God, I can't. I don't want Lance to do any other jobs. He can barely do the job of not hitting the tripod. That's job number one every day. But yet you do. You do you love it? Do you eat, live, and breathe hedge funds, finances, and all of it?
I mean, I think that's probably a little dramatic to say that.
How could that be dramatic?
Passion. I mean, I definitely.
You understand it.
I understand it. Right.
Okay, so you're one step ahead of me.
Well, I do what I can, Jenna. But no, I think it just comes down to making something that sounds complex, that's not really complex, and put it into simple language. Because at the end of the day, I think Wall Street, it's a lot of jargon, right? It's a lot of fancy language that sounds like it's very sophisticated. We have a joke that Wall Street is a place of ordinary people trying to be extraordinary. So I think that's the thing. It's nice to be able to just take it and kind of simplify things so people understand it, so it doesn't seem so complex, because it's not complex.
So then you're one of the few, because I think some people pride themselves on making it sound complex and enjoying making it sound complex. Like say my broker, or the guy that helps us with our money. I'm always like, listen, explain it to me like I'm 7.
I don't like him already.
Right?
Yeah.
And then he's like, the bulls and the bears and this with the percentages and this. I'm like, I don't understand. You should explain to me like I'm 3, apparently. So dumb it down even more.
Exactly.
So tell me what you do.
Actually, that was 3, by the way.
Please stop doing it. It would be nice if you stopped hitting it.
I'm trying to, but I'm not used to having these chairs that...
Okay, so how about move back a little bit more?
But then I can't read.
But why do you have to read anything right now? There you go.
That's what I do. Because the Periscope thing, they erase.
Okay. Perfect.
Lance has got it wired. I have confidence.
Yeah. He's got it down pat. So tell me what you do.
Yeah, so I have a financial planning firm. We're called an RIA, or Registered Investment Advisor.
Okay.
So completely independent firm. So I come from the big brokerage firms. Like you said, you have a broker. Right. So I worked at Merrill Lynch for almost 8 years, which they're technically Bank of America now.
Okay.
And the big difference is when I worked for Merrill Lynch and you sign a contract to work, I don't know who you work with now, what firm?
JP Morgan.
JP Morgan. Oh, evil empire. I'm so sorry, Jenna.
Okay.
But basically...
And when you say I work with them, I don't even know what work I do. I get a call every once in a while.
Okay, so you get a call every once in a while. Right. So basically, the person who works there, when I worked at Merrill Lynch, you sign a contract that says, I represent the firm, not you. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
So any kind of advice you're getting at JP Morgan, they're not really liable for the advice that they give. They just have to give you investments that are suitable, which is a very broad kind of esoteric thing, right?
Okay.
So me as a fiduciary, working as an IRA...
What's a fiduciary?
Perfect. Yeah, we need to step back. So fiduciary is, I by law have to act in your best interest. So I'm completely independent. I'm not beholden to any captive agent or brokerage firm. So I'm not going to sell you JP Morgan products. I have to work in what is best for you by law, and I'm liable for it, which is a huge difference.
Yeah, you're not liable for it if something happens.
Exactly. Bingo. You got it exactly right. Yep.
I gotta get going. I gotta go find a fiduciary. Okay, go on.
I know one down around. I forgot where my office is. By Penn Station. You should check them out.
You want to find a fiduciary who doesn't know where his office is.
Yeah.
That's a bad sign. That's a bad start.
Once you find a cameraman,
Dude doesn't know where he works, but
right.
Really compelling argument on my show this morning.
That's very funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you find a fiduciary who really is invested in you and your goals and your financial well-being because he is responsible. She is responsible.
Exactly. And a lot of she's because a lot of my advisors are women, not men, which is completely opposite of the industry.
Wow.
Yeah. And millennials, which is also unheard of.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay, so I'm in the wrong business and I'm investing with the wrong people. No, but you understand and you get it. It's complicated, people talk about hedge funds, and if you asked me what a hedge fund was, I would think it is just a collection of investments that you are investing in other. Is that what a hedge fund is?
Yeah, I mean you're actually really good at this. That's all it is. A collection of investments.
No one's ever said that before, ever, including my dad.
Can I get financial advice from you?
This
is really good.
That's
so that's a collection of investments. What else?
What was
I will learn.
What was that last part?
In which you pay a lot higher fees. So that's another thing about hedge funds, which actually makes them less attractive. It's just a collection of investments, and because they call it a hedge fund and make it seem more complex, they're able to charge more fees.
To me, the consumer.
Bingo. Yep. Exactly.
Oh,
you got it, Jenna.
So you're not a hedge fund manager.
Not a hedge fund manager, right? We're financial planners. So we basically just plan out like a plan for you. So do you want to retire someday? Maybe
eventually.
Your energy, I don't think so. No way.
No way.
Yeah.
Yes. The answer is yes. Someday.
Okay. You do want someday, right?
Where do you want to retire to? Mars?
Yeah. Be pretty hip.
Never gonna happen.
You and David Bowie will be on Mars.
Yep. Never gonna happen. Terrified. Those helmets, it just don't do well with my hair. Go on.
So basically, and I actually like to use more of a euphemism of financial independence, because I think we don't have the same view of just stopping at age 65. You're not going to work anymore. You're in Florida in Boca golfing or something like that. I think that just doesn't apply to our younger generations.
Right.
So I think financial independence is more like, okay, the day where I know I don't have to work. I can work if I want to work, not because I have to.
Right.
So what I look at is we call it goal-based investing, and that says let's start with the end in mind. So let's think about where do I want to be, in 20 years from now or wherever that is. Do you think about it at all? I don't want to.
No, because I have such little kids that I think mine's going to be. I think I have to go past 20 years. I think I have to think like 30 years.
Okay, so when you're in your 50s, 30 years from now.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll tell you where I don't want to be. I'm just kidding. I hope you and I are tied to the hip for the next 50 years, Lance. 50.
Actually, it reminds me, Howard Stern did a whole bit yesterday on Sumner Redstone, who's like in his 90s.
Yeah,
so 50 years I'd actually be 103. But you want to hang out with me at 100? Wait, do you think that I don't want to be hanging out with you when I'm 103 and you're like, whatever, 38?
This thing needs to take off before 103. Like, it needs to take off by tomorrow. Let's just put it that way.
Okay, so part of the retirement plan. So I have the retirement plan within a month program?
So Lance actually had a very successful hedge fund.
Okay.
That he sold, and now I understand what a hedge fund is.
I always bad things about hedge funds. I'm sorry, Lance.
That's okay.
Yeah,
that's Skybridge Capital, which is like one of the largest.
Oh, you were at a hedge fund.
But what's the difference between a hedge fund and like a municipal?
Mutual fund.
A mutual fund.
Mutual fund. Okay. Essentially the same concept. You have a fund that you're invested in, a collection of investments.
Right.
And the strategies can vary. In fact, some mutual funds invest in hedge fund strategies to make it even more complex. But at the bare basics, they're essentially the same thing. They're basically an investment vehicle. They're, you typically have a manager who has a strategy that you're investing in, and they're going out and investing in a lot of different things, depending on whatever the theme of that hedge fund or that mutual fund is. You can call me out, Lance, if I'm saying it incorrectly.
No.
I still don't fully understand. So why have hedge funds sort of taken off as their own sort of entity, right? Like, why don't you have you had a hedge fund? You didn't have a.
Well, let's leave me out of it, but like. There's some really smart guys, and the back in the day, and even today, back in the day, there was a time where it was really easy to start a hedge fund. It's harder to start a hedge fund now, but a number of people, like if you just went through the list of the Forbes 400, a number of people who are in the Forbes 400 are guys who started their own hedge fund.
Yeah.
And they were the best and brightest of the investment generation, and so people wanted to give them their money because they were earning outsized returns relative to other people. So,
tell me how that works. Like, how does someone know?
Yeah.
How does someone know something's going to work, and with all access to the same information? What makes a smart person know that this investment's going to work? What does intelligence really have to do with that? You're analyzing? Are you guessing? Are you gambling?
Right. The old joke is, I'd rather be lucky than good.
Yes.
And I think it is a mix of, like Lance said, there's a coterie of very small percentage that most of us don't have access to these managers that are very good and managing money and can outperform the market, right? Just beat everybody else.
How do they do that?
That's
freakish nature. Yeah.
How do certain people end up with their own Periscope show?
True.
And everybody else
charm, wits, high energy.
Now you're speaking my language. Now I understand.
Exactly.
Okay. Got it. Say no more. Say no more. I understand, right? I'm good. I'm good.
So
now.
it's like, exactly. The Jenna Wolf of the hedge fund worlds, right?
Got it.
Yeah, exactly.
Love it. Need it. Want more of that.
Well, no, but you have it. But there's something that cuts different people. At a certain level, like you're talking about handfuls of people who have these massive hedge funds. Like Anthony's firm manages $12.5 billion.
Right.
There aren't a lot of hedge fund managers managing $12.5 billion.
Yeah.
You have to make a lot of steps really the right way over the course of time. And over the course of time, if you repeatedly make step after step after step after step after step, you begin to get the confidence of a large number of people.
How much of this realistically is gambling, and how much of it is financial insight?
This is actually a great point. So talking about a small coterie of people that are really good, and there's a lot of hedge fund managers. So it's kind of like how many people have a Periscope account, try to do what you do, but just don't do it as good, right? There's probably thousands, right, that have shows out there.
We're the only
millions.
I think
fake millions.
Here, we're the only one with a 4-hour show on Periscope.
Exactly, right? But there's so many people out there trying to do the same thing, but don't have your charisma, your insight, and your gifts.
Come back every single day. I don't care if you have anything to say. Every day.
Yeah, we'll make it happen.
Can we just put that on the loop?
So, with the hedge fund, where it's the same thing. There's thousands of managers out there that maybe they risk a lot. They don't outperform the markets like these small coterie of managers do. What happens is you end up paying a lot of fees, and you get underperformance. And that's the problem with our industry in general. And you talk about working with these big brokerage firms.
Right.
A lot of fees hidden in what you own. You don't even know that you're paying those fees. And the irony is, at the end of the day, you actually end up underperforming as opposed to outperforming. Whereas if you could pay low fees into what we call like low-cost index funds, and I'm getting too far out of the
I get this.
Okay, so you can actually just get a market return.
Lost me.
Okay, lost. So let's say you get a better return just owning something that's passive with no manager.
Right.
Well, what's the market? Why don't you define what the market is?
Okay, so the market is, so let's take, you know what the S&P 500 is?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a big benchmark of all large cap U.S. companies.
500 stocks.
500 stocks. Thank you, Lance. What would I do without you?
Right.
Yes.
You want me to kick the thing?
Thank you, Lance. And it's really easy to buy it. You can buy it for almost no cost. If you have easy access to it, anyone can buy it. You can go into anywhere, just any outlet you could buy it with no advice. Own it, very cheap. And the irony is, you have all these managers, out there that will go against the index. So it's competition. So if I'm a professional manager, I'm going to say, I'm going to buy, out of those 500 stocks, I'm going to buy the ones that are going to do better than the index is, and you're going to pay me a premium to do that because my performance is going to be better.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And the irony is, most managers, I'm saying irony a lot today, like 80-90% of managers can't do it. Over longer periods of 5 years, 10 years, they can't outperform what this passive 500 stocks are with all their insight, knowledge, and know-how.
And you're not paying fees when you have that.
Or very, very low fees, like
right.
almost nothing, right? Almost the cost is almost nothing versus paying.
So many things you're paying with it.
Right, and that's like the dirty secret of our industry.
Makes me so angry.
Why are you angry?
You look angry.
Because I'm furious. No, because more so than in any other field, the financial field here, I feel like they want to keep the people that don't understand it from not understanding.
Yes.
Don't worry, just give me your money.
The real estate field, where it's
no, that's a little bit different.
Do you think like the real estate field, people are like not like there aren't some winners and losers in real estate?
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that the real estate field, and I just have one real estate broker who's fantastic and has been very open and honest with me and has helped me with all my purchases.
Right? Yeah.
I just like they don't tell you about your fees and they don't tell you about really. I mean, and when they do talk to you, they talk to you in a language that you don't understand, right? But if they said to me, if my guy said to me like, "Hey, how are you going to edit this piece today?" And I'm going to say, well, I'm going to cut some some B-roll from B-roll over here, and then I'm going to take some A-roll and mix it in and make that a VOSA. Like, I wouldn't talk to them like that because I know they wouldn't understand. So why do you talk to me like that? And it really makes me so angry. It's not the field I live and breathe in.
What about another great field? What about lawyers? I mean, divorce lawyers. There's a good
I don't know. Lance has been divorced 4 times.
3 times.
I see the scars on your back, Lance.
Right? So that's what
there are so many other good industries. The coal industry, now, there's a great industry.
No, but finance is more than anything. I really feel like
Yeah.
they keep it. They speak their own language, and they enjoy doing that, and they enjoy being able to sort of keep an arm's length away from people who don't really fully understand it.
Yes, but I think we're in this like revolution right now where that is actually changing. You know, independent firms like mine, which we just got in Inc. 5000, one of the fastest growing countries in America.
Nice.
Pretty sweet. Are actually starting to. That's where the money's moving to. You know, people were moving away from the big firms because all the reasons we're talking about.
Yeah.
And going in an independent firm where you're gonna own low cost investments. You're gonna own what works because you're working with someone who has to work in your best interest. not just make things complex, and basically give you investments that probably have high costs and really benefit the broker more than they benefit you. Trying to get to retirement. I mean, it's that simple, but I think that revolution has actually started.
So maybe I should look for a fiduciary.
I think
all kidding aside.
Yeah.
Right? I need to look for a fiduciary. Yeah. First of all, I just think it's so unfortunate that you have the word douche in the name of the job that you do for a living. It's so unfortunate. No, it's terrible.
This is my business card?
No, just
say
fiduciary. I mean, it's unfortunate,
My mom doesn't think so.
No, of course not.
She's the only person.
Well, come on. Look at your face. You're adorable. Who would not think that?
Okay. You only speak the truth,
So tell me the company you work for.
So it's my last name, very sexy title, Payne Capital Management. That's Payne. Always very creative.
No Payne Capital.
We actually have a radio show called No Pain, No Gain. So if you're up at Saturday at 7 a.m., which I'm sure you are, on AM radio.
For 3 hours by then.
You would totally be checking it out.
No pain, no gain. You should have me on to talk about nothing.
I would take you up on that just because you're you, Jenna.
And why not?
And I would just flatter you like I am right now.
I'll go to the radio like this and just me giving out my financial advice. So I want to skirt the hidden fees, and I want to skirt all the the gluck that sort of gets mucked onto the stuff that I'm investing in, and I just want to invest my money. So what we did, I think, if I'm not mistaken, or what, I don't know if we did it, but the advice I was given by someone who sort of understood this is take half your money and invest it in just either, like you said, either the S&P 500 or the international market. What is that called?
You've got the FTSE, the MSCI World Index. I mean,
it is just a very simple standard, whatever it is, and then let it ride. Just go with it and not do anything to it, and see what actually plays better.
Did they tell you to do it over time, or just at one individual time?
They said if you can take your money and split it up and put half of it. I guess not over time. I guess right now, go ahead and do it. Well, we didn't want to take all of our money, so or whatever, half goes there and half, and then just see who actually outperforms each other. Doing it the way Ryan's suggesting, either with the S&P 500 or in an international fund that kind of fend for itself, or with guys that are sort of giving you advice in stocks and bonds and all of it.
Right. There's a better way to do it. I like the idea of low costs, spreading out your money.
I like the idea of less work for me.
Yeah, I mean, Jen, we don't want you to work.
I need a financial douche in my life, is what I need.
Yeah, I mean, a complete financial douche. Couldn't we just need a financial douche?
Is that what fiduciaries
financial douche. Don't be the douche.
Yeah, we're totally rebranding the industry today. This is amazing.
All right, Jenna.
Who else wants to come on the show in the financial world? Who else wants to?
All fiduciaries.
So there's an overlay. I like what you're thinking of. I mean, you're actually intuitively you're pretty good at this, actually.
That's hilarious. Go on.
Yeah. No, but you're just thinking that it should be common sense stuff, right?
Right.
So what I like about the idea is you spread things out because there's different markets that work at different times. Like you were saying, if I have an international market, that may do well in some years. My U.S. markets may do well in some years. And the other dirty secret of Wall Street is, I have no idea what's going to happen next. If I did, I'd be on my yacht.
Right.
And all these analysts on Wall Street love to tell you that this is going to happen next. And they never get it right. In fact,
But they do. But those are the Bernies of the world, right? The Ponzi schemes of the world. Is that when that happens? When they do get it right over and over and over again, and what they're doing is just reinvesting. They're reinvesting the money that comes in, and not what is it? They're not reinvesting real money, right? They're taking your money and investing that and paying themselves off.
Well, that's okay. That's the too good to be true, right? If you have a return that's just too consistent, but just the promise.
So, Warren Buffett,
Warren Buffett would be that freakish, a coterie of managers that are just better than everybody else. But everyone on Wall Street's paid to predict the future, right? This is just the promise that I know what's going to happen next, and rarely, or if ever, do they ever get it right.
Really?
Yeah. There's an old joke that stock analysts make fortune tellers look good. That's just how bad they are predicting the future, and it's just this is the whole industry. So what we look to do is let's just assume, look, we don't know. I don't know what's going to happen next. I'm not that good. I'm from Philadelphia. I have to keep it really simple.
Yeah.
Not a master of the universe. No offense to anyone from Philadelphia. I love my hometown. But point is, look.
Wait, are you a Flyers fan?
I mean, I'm not a huge hockey fan, but of course my loyalties are all Philadelphia teams. Right. So yeah, of course the Flyers. But basically, so let's just assume we don't know what's going to happen next. We can't predict the future.
Right.
The only guarantee I can give you between now and next year, it should be like a drum roll, is markets are going to move. How's that for insight?
Wow.
Yeah.
The douche coming up with the big.
You know, it doesn't get douchier than that.
Right.
Do you mind if there's like a lot of comments?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, okay.
Are you okay for this? You ready for comments? Let me just reset. This is Ryan Payne. He's a fiduciary with Payne Capital, right?
Yeah, you got it right. Yeah.
Here in New York City. He's doing me this huge, wonderful thing of breaking down finances for me, because I'll be honest with you, I don't understand it. I've never really wanted to, because every time I've tried to, it is overcomplicated for me. Which is why I watch Shark Tank, and I'm like, ooh, what a pretty set. Like, I don't even really get all the investments. So
yeah.
Ryan's here. He's going to answer your questions. There you go. Boom.
First of all, Kara Canute says it's my birthday.
Happy
okay,
birthday,
well, we're just going to focus on happy birthday, Kara.
I just don't want to go through the conversation.
Oh, okay.
I mean, like, we left off at a certain place.
Okay.
Debbie Ellison said, says hi from frigid Indianapolis.
Hello.
Paul Barry says good morning from Rhode Island, and how about a shout out to the FDNY for the incredible rescue last night?
Absolutely.
Cool.
Good job, guys.
Okay. Sherry Milligan. I'm sorry, you're giving me a face like I'm supposed to.
No, I didn't know what FDNY rescue
Fire
you were
department.
talking about.
Yeah.
No, I know what it means. I didn't know which rescue they were referring to.
I don't either, but it's America's bravest. I mean, New York's bravest.
New York's bravest.
Yeah.
Sherry Milligan says enjoying the conversation, very informational.
See? It's all right.
Carrie Drake says use an advisor and trust.
Says what?
Use an advisor and trust.
Mm-hmm.
Any idea what that would mean?
Advisor in trust that you can trust.
And trust. And trust to T, trust capitalized.
Well, no, I think that's where if you work with an independent, I mean, this day and age, if you're not working with someone who's an independent advisor, it's old school versus new school. And the big brokerage firms, for the most part, and I'm generalizing here because there are some great advisors there, for the most part, they're working for the firm, not you. So I would just say if you're not working with an independent, at least get a second opinion from an independent to make sure you're doing everything correctly.
Okay, Sherry Milligan now says, I always heard to invest in what you buy and use. Is that not true? And she's saying like Walmart, Starbucks, GE, etc.
Right. It doesn't always mean those companies are doing well, right?
Oh, yeah, exactly. I mean, that's an old fallacy. I think there's a, what was the name of the Spartan Fund? Peter Lynch, right? Famous
Fidelity.
Yeah, another Fidelity Magellan Fund. Exactly right. Yeah, he makes it sound like it's so easy, but you're right. I mean, look at Twitter right now. You know, if you think Twitter is a great platform to use, and that stock has done terrible. So not necessarily true. Sounds good, but it doesn't really work all the time.
Interesting. Fallacy. Yeah. Go on.
Fallacy. There we go. Some big words.
And irony. You threw out irony and fallacy. Two big words.
That education paid off. Yeah.
Marianne Ford asks, are the regulatory rules different for hedge funds versus, say, Fidelity mutual funds? Can hedge funds take bigger risks and invest in more financial instruments like derivatives that Fidelity mutual funds can't invest in?
Depends on the fund. You could be taking the same risk in a mutual fund or more risk than the hedge fund, depending on the strategy. I think I don't know all the regulations, but for the most part, the same thing. You don't have someone who has to act in your best interest. If you go to Fidelity directly to one of their retail salespeople, my sister actually works in one of the branches.
Right? Ryan's sister.
Yeah, Allie.
Yeah, Allie Payne.
I'm sure you're not watching this right now, but you have the same issue. You have someone who's not working in your best interest. So again, I urge you to look at working with a fiduciary who might be able to recommend some hedge funds and some Fidelity funds if they make sense. But even then, you're talking about higher cost funds that it might not make sense for your specific situation.
Donna Marie says, I'm sorry, I don't know your show's format. She was earlier about the standing.
Two of us. Go on.
But at least I know the format.
Yeah, so. That's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
See, Lance.
Oops.
As you make,
you think I did that by accident, right?
No, but I can't wait for the next three things that you asked me for. I will not do. So the things that I would like you to do, you seem to not want to do. So two people are gonna play at that game. Okay. It may not know you now, but it'll know you later on when you're needing me for something. I will remember.
I'm sorry, I don't know your show's format. Standing Rock is where indigenous people are standing up against an oil company in an attempt to protect their water source in North Dakota. Media attention is slim, and you are a very credible news person. They are standing up for us all, and my goal is to help shed light on this subject. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Cool.
All right. Colleen says, good morning, Jenna. Sherry Below Milligan says, well, most of us use our company 401k funds or invest in a Roth. What split should we be using?
Ooh, that's a really good question.
Great question, Sherry.
Yeah. And you're going to answer, right, Jenna?
Yeah. The answer is 4?
Flip a coin.
The answer is 7.
And the risk of boring you to death, just to give you the quick differences. So if you invest in your 401k, you have 2 options for most of your plans. You can put a pre-tax contribution, which means you get a deduction today. Is this too much information?
No, for most people it's not.
Okay,
so
okay.
This is actually interesting.
Yeah. So then you get a deduction right off your paycheck. Money grows tax deferred, meaning the money does not grow.
So you don't pay taxes on the money. So it's like, right?
Bingo, Lance. What would I do without you?
Right. No, you would be.
That'd be like Connor telling me how many push-ups to do. I'd be like, thank you for explaining that to me. Obviously, you guys understand it. You're speaking the same language.
I'm trying to.
I know you're translating English.
I'm trying to translate English into something that I can understand.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't pay taxes on it while the money grows, and then later on, ideally when you're in retirement, you take the money out then, but you should be in a lower tax bracket because you're not working anymore. Okay. The other way you can do it is.
So you actually work through. I'm sorry to do this, but like a numerical example. So say somebody's making $50,000.
Right.
Right, and they would have 45. And let's say they have $5,000 that they're going to put into their
401k.
Their 401k.
Mm-hmm.
They would only be paying taxes on how much money?
On the 45,000,
which is the 50 minus the 5.
Exactly right. Yep. So that's called a deduction. Yeah.
So
awesome.
it's non-taxable income.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Lance, if I'm doing 5 hand release push-ups and then I'm going to stand up and do 5 jump squats, how many things did I just do? Okay, so we're on the same page.
So by the way, his name is Connor.
Did I call you Lance?
Not to dial it back to nice to meet you, Jen.
I can't.
It's really, really.
I need to sleep more. That's my problem. It's nice to meet you. Okay. You must be Ryan. Nice to meet you.
And that's Louis Ruckhiser. And in the corner, there's Louis Ruckhiser.
Oh, gosh. Okay, my apologies. Anyway, any other financial questions?
Yeah. Actually, so John Cherry Hill asked basically what is
Cherry Hill near Philadelphia.
There you go. That's where the fire practice.
He asked basically what the average fee is that you charge your
compared to a regular
customers. Yeah, compared to a regular financial planner or something.
Oh, on the spot.
Ooh, right on the spot. I mean, I'd say fees typically start about 1%, but what you need to factor in is what are those internal costs as well, because you can pay 1%, but then all the investments you have can also have hidden fees inside. And so a lot of times you can have paying closer to 2% once you factor in those hidden costs that you don't see. So you need to get an analysis done of the recommendations on top of that 1% that the financial planner is actually recommending. So in our case, let's say we charge a fee of 1%, but we almost have 0 cost internally on the investments we're using. So I hope that makes sense. But you need to know all the costs, not just the fee the advisor is paying.
Right.
Damn, I hit the damn thing. I can't read these.
Well, why don't then either...
We need to have... See, this is where I think
or
the
then
smaller...
let Connor do it.
I think the smaller...
Because let's see who can do it. Because if you can't do it, maybe Connor can do it. Now I think
you're
the
doing a great job,
dropped.
Lance.
The gauntlet was dropped.
Connor, your show, dude.
Yeah,
Let's see it.
I'll see y'all later. We're
It's went from almost being fired to promoted.
I know, right? Now, if you hit it once, you're out, and I'm going to have to do it myself. Is this the kind of thing you do right out of college, or did you? Is it like law and medicine where there's like a graduate program for it? And what do you major in?
I was a political science major, which I did nothing with. So I don't know if it's necessarily that. I think it's just being in the business for a long time. I've been in the business for over 15 years. So, I've basically have seen every financial product, everything you can possibly do. I've tried it with my own money. And, just from being, I guess, in the financial planning trenches every day, if you want to get that dramatic,
sure.
I think experience, there's no discount for experience. But, most of my advisors, they're right out of college. We train them in our processes. My father's also in the business. We're partners.
You want almond milk?
You are not leaving. You're not leaving.
I wasn't sure if you wanted almond milk.
Just get back here. Listen, the one thing I do know, and I think it's that we all know because it was the one thing that trickled down to us, and I asked you about it before, is the Ponzi scheme, right? Because it actually affected so many people. It affected Hollywood. It affected high-paying customers. And I was surprised that either it hadn't happened before, and it took this long for something of this magnitude to happen, or we just didn't hear about it. But can you just explain it to me a little bit? I was a little fascinated by the fact that smart people with a lot of money all got duped.
Yeah.
And how that's something that could even happen in this day and age.
No, that's a great point. So I think everything you say is a great point, by the way.
I'm a genius.
I have to stop with the flattery this morning.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
You
really call me a douche, but I'm going to tell you you're great.
Stop.
Yeah,
Don't stop.
Constantly.
Just don't stop.
So, you're right. I mean, I think a little bit was greed on the side of the investors because, let's face it, Bernie Madoff is the most famous Ponzi scheme.
What is a Ponzi scheme?
So it's basically where someone takes your money.
So I give you $100.
Right. Exactly. I take it and I spend it, and I don't give it back to you. I mean, that's in the simplest form. That's what Ponzi scheme is.
Then how did I know that you were being so successful? Why would I consider you successful if I wasn't seeing any returns on that?
Because what I would do is I would pay you out a return on your money, but not that principal amount. So if you give me $100,000, and then maybe I would give you 5% of that back a year, and I would tell you that's the return that you made on the $100,000.
When really it was?
I was just taking that 95, the rest of it, and I was going to buy my yachts and everything else. And then when you needed more money back on a monthly or an annual basis, I would raise money from Connor. I'd say, hey, Connor, you need to get into my fund. So I'd have all this other money coming in so I could pay everybody else, but that principal amount invariably was going for, my
Is the thought process that somehow everyone gets covered? Or it doesn't, the way you're explaining it doesn't seem like there's an end to it, right? Like no one's ever going to all get their money back.
And I think that's what happens is you just keep raising more and more money, and the thought is, I'll just keep raising more and more money so I never get caught. The problem was when the financial crisis hit in 2008 is everybody called for their money at the same time. And that wasn't part of the plan, because when you have everyone calling for the money at the same time, well, most of that money's been spent on my yachts and mansions and other things. I can't cover all of it at once. It's easy when I'm paying you out a little bit at a time for your return on your money, but I have to pay everything back at the same time. That's when you get screwed. Right, so that's where the Ponzi scheme falls apart.
Are you surprised? I mean, I've read about a few more here and there, but I guess nothing to that on that level. Or maybe it's just that I haven't read about it. Have there been more?
That was a pretty hot.
That was the biggest one, right?
Well, I think after 08, you probably haven't seen as many, but there's always new charlatans that come in different forms and in different types of products that are sold. Where invariably, there's always a new scam, right? That's one thing you have to watch out for.
Is that what the Wolf of Wall Street was based on?
That was a little bit different. That was based on...
That was a different financial scheme.
That was another scheme, right? There's so many financial schemes. That was different where they were buying stocks that were basically worthless, and they were pumping up the price of those stocks artificially. Because if you get a lot of people that come in and buy the stock at the same time, the demand rose at the same time.
Okay.
So people thought they were buying the stock that was a winner, but then once you got everybody into the stock, there's no more buyers. The price would then again drop. And then in the meantime, to buy that stock, they would charge you these huge commissions to get in, and they would get that commission, or the VIG, is what they call it, on that. So that was a different type of scheme, but that's...
you see, just in what you were explaining, how easy it is for people that don't know much about it to get duped and lose their money. And that's why there's I think there's such a distrust towards... financial advisors, because we're speaking different languages, and I'm trusting you with everything I have ever earned or made in my whole life.
Yeah, and then you see shows. You ever watch American Greed?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great show. I mean, it's just that guy's voice. I don't know who the commentator is, but he always just makes everyone sound like the worst villain ever. Yeah. But those things do happen, and they do exist, and I think that's, again, why I think working with a fiduciary is very, very important because, again, by law, you have to act in someone's best interest. But the other thing is, make sure your money's still housed at a big institution. Like, all my clients have their money at Fidelity Investments, which has trillions of dollars in assets. So the one thing Bernie Madoff was doing is he had his own firm that was physically holding the money. So I think you want outside independent advice, but make sure your money's being held at one of the biggest institutions in the country. That's a big way, where it's that's a big way to protect yourself against a lot of these schemes,
right?
And uncertainty, because you can say, well, I don't know if I want to work with somebody I don't really know who they are. They're not J.P. Morgan, but at the end of the day, you can still hold your money at one of the biggest institutions. Just get your advice independently.
Gotcha.
Yeah, for someone who's liable for that advice.
Any other questions, Lance?
Yeah, actually.
We're on to something here.
Ooh, all right.
All right, Ryan's in the hot seat.
Okay, so did you answer the question about, no, we did the North Dakota thing, right? 401k. I have TSP. I think that's...
Yes.
That's when your jaw is inflamed and you have a hard time.
Performs well, but not great. Any advice?
That's if you work for the government. So think of it as if you have a 401k plan when you work for a company. If you work for the government, the retirement plan that you have is this TSP plan. And the problem with that is you have very limited choices. I think there's only about 5 options that you have. So if you're ready to retire in retirement, you work for the government, I recommend you can roll that money over to what we call an IRA, or individual retirement account. And basically that's where you can invest in anything you want, as opposed to just a limited amount of options. A lot of your 401ks are like this too. If you're over 59 and a half, you can still contribute to your 401k, but a lot of these 401ks that you have are probably limited in options, and there's probably a lot of fees that you don't see. Again, a lot of the devil, it's the devil you don't see, is I call worse than the devil that you do see when it comes to fees, because Wall Street loves to hide your fees. So you can get an analysis of that to find out what all the real cost is. The TSP plan is actually relatively cheap, but you're just so limited in your options. So if you can roll money out of your 401k, or you have an old 401k where you're not working at the company anymore, you can roll that money to an IRA, and then you can give yourself a lot more options, which gives you a lot more flexibility and can build a better plan.
So stressful. Just play the lottery. Gosh.
Oh, I mean, yeah, the odds are so good.
Yeah.
I'll
never find all these fees.
Yeah.
But I also don't think that I can go to my guys and be like, listen, I don't want to pay hidden fees. And they'll be like, okay, Jenna, have a nice day.
Yes.
Like that, you know.
What about your bank? Does your bank charge any hidden fees?
I think those are pretty transparent. I know in my bank statement, they're always charging fees for something.
Right. My cable company. Charge DVR fee, using your remote fee, having to go to the bathroom in the middle of a show fee. Like, everything is a fee.
Yeah, absolutely.
Colleen Perilli says, at age 51, how diverse would you make your portfolio in a 457 deferred comp plan?
Let me answer that.
Yeah.
I would stick to more. I would stick to more mid-cap funds, because you really don't want to be too. Right, you don't want to be too aggressive right now. You do want to hold on to some things. You don't have a ton of time to play around with taking chances if your stocks or funds should drop. So you don't want to go large or small cap. I would definitely stick to a couple of your mid cap funds and then let's see what happens.
See, I mean, you sound brilliant.
What am I talking about?
Yeah. Well, that's
that good advice?
That was really good advice.
Sounded so good.
No,
Lance said it was great.
Lance is literally taking
Lance learned so much.
Lance is taking notes. He's like, how do you spell mid-cap?
Right. Diversify. Woo. Go ahead.
You know what? We have to hire you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think just get back to the question. You need to be well diversified. I would say that you're probably not diversified enough. I say we analyze like 50 portfolios a month, and I just take a spreadsheet because I'm a simple man, and just plot out all the investments you have, and we label everything by, like, if it's a mid cap, which is a great point, you want to have mid caps in your portfolio. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
You want to own
and
international,
best, right?
which you mentioned
and
earlier.
First and best.
Yeah, first.
Yeah. I think I should just be the host of a show, and you can come in and talk about finances.
Right.
But I'm not as good at the hosting. Of course not.
We'll see if you get a 4-hour Periscope show.
Yeah. Someday. But point is, I think, yes, you want to be really well diversified. And my definition of diversification is 12 different asset classes. So not just mid caps, not just large caps, not just international. You want to have small caps in there too.
Yeah.
You want to have what we call alternative investments, like real estate investment trusts. You have the emerging markets. So point is, I'd say at least 10 asset classes. If you need help with that, maybe I'll put my information up there, or work with an independent. They can help you get properly diversified.
Nice.
You don't mention gold. I mean, this is me asking.
Yeah.
You don't mention gold, silver, titanium, rocks that they find on Mars. Like, do you have any?
That's fairly old-fashioned, I think.
The rocks on Mars?
No.
Well, because you're looking back from the 2033 nonfiction thing?
No, the gold, like investing in gold and silver.
Well, gold, I mean, during the financial crisis, gold went up a lot, right?
It didn't at first. Commodities, I mean, I like commodities in your portfolio as a hedge because you can look at a lot of years. And that's the whole idea of owning different things. It's kind of like if I lived on a farm and I want to live off the land. I don't know, where were you from originally? Just out of curiosity.
Jamaica.
Nice.
For real.
Queens or Jamaica?
No, Jamaica.
Oh, wow, Jamaica. Yeah. Okay, so you might know, I don't know, they farm on Jamaica? They probably. I don't know. Well, I didn't grow up on a farm, but...
Yeah, they make copper in Jamaica, actually.
Yeah, they make coffee, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So basically, it's kind of like if I'm going to live off the land, let's just say you decided I'm going to go upstate and live up buy a farm, live off the land. You don't want to just plant one crop because then you're at the helm of if that crop comes into harvest that year, it's a bad harvest, it's feast or famine. So the whole idea is you own a lot of different crops that hopefully come into harvest at different times.
Makes
totally
sense.
winging this, right? So you can always eat. And the same thing is like commodities are a great thing to have in your portfolio just because a lot of times they're going to work when other things aren't working.
Right.
So kind of back to your point, Lance, is...
That was a question, it wasn't.
Yeah. Or your question, I'm sorry. Having gold, physical assets maybe in one fund, which also has things like energy, soybeans, just having a generic commodity index is a great diversifier. Yeah, I think it makes sense to have in your portfolio.
Heather Potter says, I rolled over my 401k and diversified my...
Can you go grab...
Ryan's here?
Yeah.
I rolled over my 401k and diversified my entire portfolio. I've been investing since I was 18 and I'm 40 years old. And now I have an ESOP, but I'm broke.
It's a very specific question.
And Jenna, where should I buy the skinny jeans?
Oh, these
and what brand are those?
I usually just wear Lucky.
And is Lucky a public company?
Lucky, really?
Is Lucky a public company?
I don't know. Are they? I don't think they are. I doubt it.
Brand?
Yeah, Lucky brand. They feel like a velvet glove. Yeah, that's great.
Right? Thank you
Yeah,
very much.
you're
I mean,
welcome.
not right, but thank you very much. I really
By the way,
appreciate that.
am I allowed to
correct.
curse him out?
Yeah, everyone here hates you because this is the guy that came up with our diet plan. So Lance is starving.
I love you personally.
He's
but
been starving for
cursing you
5
out for the
days.
last 5
He's been
days.
starving for 5 days.
I'm not starving.
I was
Starving is not my problem right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, Carrie Drake says, oh, actually, the 40-year-old, did you get there?
So you have money in 401k, but you're broke? I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah, she rolled over her 401k and diversified my entire portfolio. I've been investing since I was 18 and I'm 40 years old and now have an ESOP, but I'm broke.
Okay. So so the money's still in the plan. Did you lose the money? That's what I'm a little bit confused on.
All right, so maybe we'll get an answer and we'll get back there.
Let's do 2 more.
Okay.
Carrie Drake says, this is great info to share. I work for a financial institution and spend almost every day explaining pre-tax contributions and prior year, etc.
Thank you, Lance.
The new fiduciary, that's Lance.
Oh.
The new fiduciary ruling is making it more difficult, though. And I'll just end with Colleen says, thank you, Jenna, and thank you, Lance.
You're very welcome.
So that's what I got here.
So there's a lot.
Oh, actually, there's one really good question here.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's go for it.
Marianne Ford says, so if the crisis of 2008 didn't happen, Madoff could still be going.
There's a good chance. I mean, that's the scary thing. If he didn't have all those capital calls, why couldn't he have kept raising capital? In fact, I think his secret was you would say, hey, Bernie, I want to be in your fund. And he'd say, you know what, I'm full right now. I can't let you into my fund. So you have this feeling of scarcity, and then apparently he'd call you like a month later and say, hey, I just have an opening in my fund. So he was amazing at raising money. That could still be going on today. So that's why you have to be so careful.
And if that was still going on, the Mets would be better or worse?
Yeah, right. Nice.
I'm a Phillies fan. I can't come
so the Phillies would be in worse position.
Philadelphia too? Yes. Yes. If you're from Philadelphia, you're so loyal to your Philadelphia team.
I was a big Pat Burrell fan.
Pat Burrell's the best.
Right?
Yes.
He was a big fan.
Pat Burrell
number
loved
5?
himself. What's that?
What number was it? 5? 5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, he was like the greatest lover to all women in Philadelphia, wasn't it? Yeah.
And he treated the reporters real well. He was really nice to us. Super. I
you used to? Okay.
Philadelphia.
Oh,
yeah,
was he a
sportscaster
complete?
there. He liked everybody. I honestly came into this not knowing what I was going to talk to you about because I really am it's so far. The whole thing is so foreign to me, and the truth is that there's a ton to understand, and even if you come back, we start and sort of rehash some of the things we went over. Yeah. Obviously, people have a ton of questions. Will you come back and
Jenna, for you, just to hang with you is kind of
just the way I look in my jeans.
If you wear those jeans again,
yeah. Can you just look at the shoes?
Do you want Lance to wear what he's wearing?
Ryan wears nice, cool, waterproof shoes.
If your financial planner doesn't wear shoes like this, you shouldn't be working with them. Let's get serious about our life. You know what I mean?
I mean, that is just quite a waterproof shoe.
It is.
I love it. And those are plastic socks. There you go. This is Ryan Payne. Ryan runs Payne Capital. Tell people is there a website or a way they can get in touch with you if they need to or want to?
Yes, you can check us out on the web at www.payne, P-A-Y-N-A, not like pain in the neck. The idea is CM, like capitalmanagement.com. So it's www.paynecm.com. You can check us on the web there.
Do you guys have like a telephone number? Or?
Oh, we do, yeah. I forget. anyone still using a telephone, it's 646-461-7670.
And tell us about your show. You do a show on Saturdays.
Yeah, if you're in the New York area, 7 a.m. Saturday mornings, AM radio, WABC. We have the No Pain, No Gain financial radio show. Not to be missed.
And it's hilarious.
And I'm really not trying to... So Heather came in with the answer to the... Okay, so basically... And I apologize that we're not getting to anybody's... This seems to be the one topic that we have the most questions about.
Okay, so remember that for next time.
So Heather, by the way, does have what looks like to be a Cubs logo. So let's go Cubs.
Just read, Lance.
I'm trying to, but the comments...
Like, just read it. What do you...
Why don't you read, Lance?
Come on, Lance. I'm right.
We have people waiting.
Come on.
So, still making money in my investments, but can't seem to manage my incoming cash flow, and no longer am contributing to my portfolio because of cash flow. Should I just let my investments work for itself and not worry about contributing?
I mean, you should run. I mean, I always say don't put the cart before the horse. Have some financial projections run so you know what you need to save for retirement or financial independence, we'll call it. Because maybe you've saved enough now where you can just literally invest what you have and live off of that later. But I don't know your certain situation. But for the most part, I think we need to be saving. I call it just putting a tax on your.
But if she wants to call you, she can call you at.
If you want to call us, you can call us at me at 646-461-7670. You can have the time to talk. So yes,
awesome,
cool,
awesome, great job.
Ryan, thank you so much.
Yeah,
did you have fun?
Amazing.
Really?
It was.
It's still
magical is the only thing I can really. That's the only adjective I can really use.
The experience magical. I'm supposed to meet with my financial people this week. Let's see if that too is a magical meeting.
I mean, give them some tough questions. Go for the juggler.
I'm going to go talk about fiduciaries and all good things.
Financial. Hey, financial douche.
Hey, financial. What's like the most complicated question I could ask that makes me sound really financial?
Just ask them what are all my fees and watch them sweat.
Okay. All right, let's take a picture in my swanky jeans.
All right, sounds good.
You want it from the front or back?
Of the jeans?
This I totally played well.
Yeah,
you go from the back. All right, so we're done. Okay, cool. There we go. Cool.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, it's my pleasure. Yeah, it was cool. I've never done anything like that before.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
Good to meet you, Ryan.
Hey, great meeting you too. Thanks, Connor. Appreciate it. Lance, man, you're awesome. Thanks for
Ryan, this is a fellow Philly guy. This is Brian.
Brian.
How are you? I grew up in Montgomery County.
Where about?
Like Fort Washington.
Yeah, I used to work in for Johnson.
Oh yeah, sure. Okay, cool. Yeah.
And I went to Penn State, so I stayed.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. All my buddies went from the Happy Valley.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Partied a lot of weekends. I went to Villanova. So,
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
great. Yeah, not too far.
I was when I finished when I was working at McNeil, I lived on Lancaster Avenue, right across from the Logan's Pub.
Yes.
So I spent a lot of 25-cent mug nights there.
Dude, yes. Oh yeah.
I had a big green mug in my apartment.
We used to go to Brownies. It was like that too. They had some deal where it was like
Friday night. I know it was
Barnaby's. In
Barnaby's.
Delco.
Yeah.
It was like $1 for wings, and like you wake up in the middle of the night and those wings were stuck. It was just gonna be torn apart.
How long have you been here?
I've been like a decade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just hit 11 years.
11 years. Okay, actually, you're ahead of me. So we moved around the same time.
Yeah. I moved up here in 2005. Obviously.
Yeah.
I took a job at a small investment bank. I was there for almost 9 years, and then I opened up a fit studio 8 years ago.
Wow. So that's a huge. Where would I been for you?
I was at Morgan Joseph. Really
Okay.
small. You probably
Yeah.
never heard of it, but it's 150 guys at its peak. And
Okay.
They just got absorbed into
Yeah.
Callan/Radius like 2 months ago, whatever guys were.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard of them before.
Shows alive.
Actually, we used to graduate from Penn State.
2002.
You know, I mean, all my buddies lived from high school in the Acacia House, and they all graduated.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't remember anybody from Cajun. None of my good